This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. It was a busy year on the business front, from banks to the economy, celebrations and tragedies, big projects and companies large and small. KATV's Scott Inman joins me now to discuss the 2014 year in review from the business perspective.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest business ones was us hooking up as partners.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that 2014 is almost over. And I don't have an exact show count since you joined in March, but I do know it's been almost 10 full months that Talk Business and Politics has been on KATV.
And it's been a great partnership, and I really appreciate you guys being so welcoming and bringing me in. And I just think we've had a great year of covering both business and politics, and it was a big one for both. So.
Well, and it has certainly been big for us, too, to have your election prowess, the polling you do, and having you on in our election coverage has definitely helped us out as well. And a lot of banks in the news this year when you look back over the business news of 2014.
Yeah, it was a big year for banks in Arkansas. Just kind of look at some of the bigger ones in Arkansas and some moves. They had Bank of the Ozarks bought 2 banks this year in the hundreds of millions of dollars range. Simmons First making some big acquisitions, closing on Metropolitan National Bank, buying Delta Trust and Bank, then picking up 2 more banks out of state that were very sizable. Centennial's been making moves all year. And First Federal out of Harrison has done a lot as well. But I think we're going to see a lot more of this in 2015. I think that you're going to see more of this bank acquisition take place, and I think you will see more consolidation in the banking industry. But, you know, how much does it impact you to the person on the street? I mean, did your banking account change? Did your bank change?
And that's kind of the interesting thing from a customer's perspective. If your checking account has a different bank on the top, that's really the only way you notice it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, when the signs change out, and you see,
yeah.
It's been a good year to be in the sign business, by the way. So.
Yes. You think that's a sign of larger things to come? If you think there's going to be more larger acquisitions in the future, that
I do, and
small banks are just not going to be around as much?
It's tough for smaller banks, particularly in rural parts of the state where there's just not as much critical mass as there used to be. There's been, you know, an exodus of population in places like the Delta, and that's made it harder on those smaller banks, plus some of the regulatory restrictions now. You have to do some things at a different level. So
it can be so confusing from the news perspective when you do economic indicator stories. One day it's up, one day it's down, and there's no place where that's more evident than in job news. A company is adding jobs, and then the next day you're talking about a company making layoffs. But there have been a lot of job announcements this year. Is there any way to quantify, have there been more announcements than layoffs?
Well, I think so. When you look at what's up on the screen there, when you look at what has happened this year, Dassault Falcon, big announcement this year. I think we will see even more activity from that big jet maker here in central Arkansas. Pico Foods, big poultry company up in northeast Arkansas, added 1,000 jobs. Big River Steel, the state super project, another big, huge project that was in the news a lot this last year. And then Superior Industries was one of the big Northwest Arkansas firms that had layoffs. There were more announcements than there were layoffs this past year. What's the net gain? I couldn't exactly tell you, but because that's a very fluid number and hard to really pinpoint. But when you look at those economic indicators that you're talking about, generally what you look for is trends over a longer period of time. Yeah. So don't look at it on a day-to-day basis, and really almost a month-to-month basis is not enough. You need to look at it quarterly and beyond.
Yeah, and even year-to-year, you see the unemployment rate in Arkansas has really dipped from 7.5, I think, a year ago, down below 6 now.
That's right, yeah, and that's big news too.
Yeah. How about the 2 of Arkansas's biggest companies? Obviously how they go, the state's going to go to a large extent. Walmart and Tyson Foods making some big moves this year. Yeah,
Walmart, we saw just a lot of shuffling up at top management. They got a new CEO in February, Doug McMillon. He's a former stock boy for Walmart. That's how he got his start with the company.
Great story.
Now he's running the company, and he's young. He's under the age of 50. So he's putting his stamp on the company with a lot of new hires and reshuffling that top management position. And you've got Tyson Foods made that big $8.5 billion acquisition of Hillshire Foods. And I think Tyson's really one to watch in 2015 because of that Hillshire brands. They've got to get some money out of that deal, and it repositioned them from just this poultry processing, beef processing, pork processing company to more of a prepared food. You're going to see more of Tyson Foods' footprint in your grocery store than you've ever seen before because of that deal.
Very interesting McMillan's story. He would make Sam Walton proud, would he not?
He would definitely make Sam Walton look very proud, yeah.
All right, well, there were several 10-year celebrations that were tied to the economy. The most notable this year, of course, the Clinton Library, which we just last month talked about. And I did a story not all that long ago. It was actually the 10-year anniversary of Clinton's inauguration, or the announcement of the library, I think, that it was going to be in Little Rock, and the impact that it has made. And you don't really think about, Roby, how far-reaching that is. You know, you think about downtown Little Rock, you think about that physical location, but it goes far and beyond that.
It does, and I think, too, when you look at the big 10-year celebrations this year, the Clinton Library has had about a $3.3 billion economic impact on Central Arkansas. That is phenomenal. But one of the others on that list, the Fayetteville Shale Play, which also turned 10 this year, tens of billions of dollars of investment over the last decade in Arkansas from that. And then the Fayetteville Tech Parks had about $500 million of investment in Arkansas overall. Those are all great positive stories of just good things that have happened in 2014 as the 10-year anniversary mark for those points.
Well, we're looking forward to another year of Talk Business and Politics.
It's been great with you this year, Scott. Thank you so much.